The forensic DNA section deals with the DNA fingerprinting of all types of forensic samples, which may be of human origin like blood stains, semen, seminal stains, vaginal swabs, tissues, bones, hair, teeth, saliva, and also of course other skeletal remains. It also deals with the paternity-maternity testing or cases which are useful in solving the disputed parentage and swapping of the child from hospitals, illegal adoptions, immigration cases, and this section also undertakes the examination of samples of animal or plant origin whenever it is required. Now, to tell brief about the DNA, it is deoxyribonucleic acid, the genetic material present in the nucleus of cells of all living organisms, and DNA is popular because of its unique nature and because of its existence in each and every individual, just like fingerprints. It is the DNA present in every one of us that makes us unique and distinguishable from each other. Hence, DNA is considered as the excellent identification parameter which differs from individual to individual. DNA is sometimes referred to as the genetic blueprint because it stores all the information necessary for passing down the genetic attributes to the future generations. Residing in every cell of our body, DNA provides like a computer program that determines the physical features and many other attributes. The complete set of instructions for making the organism, that is, all the DNA in a cell, is referred to as the genome. Now, it is interesting to note that half of the DNA is inherited from a person's mother and the remaining half has to come from the father. Now, siblings of the same parents inherit different combinations and permutations of DNA from same parents and are therefore definitely different from each other. The point is, the siblings of the same parents can also be distinguished, and for that matter, no two individuals in this universe will bear a similar kind of a DNA pattern, except of course the unizygotic or monozygotic twins. That is the only exception. Barring that, no two individuals in this universe will have the same kind of a DNA. Each generation of people is a new and different combination of genetic material from the previous generation, as I said, except for the identical twins. Each person's DNA is unique, although the technology available does not yet allow the determination of every single difference between the people's DNA. And then all that the expert looks for is 15 different loci. As of now, the technology permits the determination at the 15 loci level. Now, within the human cell, DNA is found in the nucleus, and which is again discretely seen as chromosomes, whose number remain constant for a particular species. And human genome consists of 22 matched pairs. They are called autosomes, and two sex determination chromosomes are also there. Thus, normal human cells contain 46 different chromosomes paired up in 23 pairs, and males have a single copy of Y chromosome while females have a double copy of X chromosome. That means the females are designated as XX and whereas the males are designated as XY. Now, given this uniqueness of DNA, physical evidence collected from the scene can either link a suspect to the crime scene or eliminate him like any other evidence, for example, the fingerprints. It is possible to collect DNA from blood, skin cells, semen, hair, root, any biological evidence. The possibility of DNA extraction is there. Now, normally it is the stain form, blood or semen, they are available in stain form only in most of the crimes, and apart from that, bones, tissue. The meaning is, as long as they are from a single individual, irrespective of the source of the organ from which the DNA is extracted, it is going to be unique and it will be the same. Now, the direct transfer of DNA from one individual to another or to an object can be used to link the suspect to a crime, and DNA evidence collected from a crime scene must be performed carefully, and whenever we talk of legal terms, chain of custody is very important in order to produce DNA profile that are meaningful and legally accepted in courts of law. DNA testing techniques have become so sensitive that biological evidence too small to be easily seen with the naked eye can also be analyzed, and it can be used to link the suspects to the crime scene. Evidence must be carefully collected, preserved, avoiding all kinds of contamination, stored and transported in a proper way so that they will not interfere with the conduct of the examination that is undertaken in the laboratory. Now, as far as the physical evidence and the kind of analytical information that each one of them yield will be as follows. And the evidence for individualization normally can be blood stain or blood, seminal or seminal stains, vaginal swabs and garments with seminal stains, saliva in the form of cigarette or BD stuffs, and hair with roots, because hair without root is not amenable for DNA profiling. Teeth, bones, of course the tissue and skin pieces are some of the common physical evidences that are referred to the lab for DNA profiling. So these are encountered normally in rape cases where the seminal stains, whether they belong to the suspect or not, becomes relevant, and in all murder cases whether the blood stains belong to the suspect or are they of the victim. Now, in man missing cases, the DNA from bones, tissue, teeth, hair belong to the nearest blood relations of the missing person or not. But kith and kin often try to claim the bodies. So, in absence of any external features, at the molecular level, at the DNA level, the identification can be fixed. And the claimants, if they are biological father and mother, then blood samples of those people are also taken and their profiling is done, and the decomposed bodies, their tissues are also collected, and then if there is a match, then there is an indication that this body belonged to this particular parents. Now, the evidence as far as the paternity maternity is concerned in a disputed parentage can be the blood from the child, blood from the mother, and then of course blood from the putative or disputed father. Now, the question relevant that can be put to the expert will be whether the person is the biological father of the child, whether the child is the biological offspring of the father and mother. And in all animal cases also, the skin, tissue, blood, especially the wildlife poaching cases, becomes relevant, and whether the skin, tissue, blood and other remnants that are available from the scene, do they belong to a particular animal, a particular species that is attracted under the wildlife. Now, evidence from plant material in the form of seeds, roots, leaves and flower, and it may be relevant if it is a exotic species or a species that is listed as endangered species in the Wildlife Act. If somebody is in the possession of such an exhibit, then definitely they are liable for a kind of punishment as per the stipulation that is given in the law. And the child swapping cases to determine who is the biological father, mother of the children is also relevant. Now, it's very, very important to bear in mind whenever such cases are referred, the collection and storage, transportation aspects of DNA samples is also relevant. Now, in case of blood, they should be collected in sterile vials which are pre-coated with the designated preservative EDTA or dimethyl sulfoxide as the case may be, and 5 ml blood of adults and 2 to 5 ml in case of children is sufficient. Now, as far as the bloodstained clothing are concerned, because they are all biological materials, the normal rule is that they should be dried properly under shade, and afterwards should be packed separately. For each item separate packing should be there, and the preferred item of package will be the paper parcel or the cloth parcel. Now the weapons similarly need to be air dried whenever there is a stain suspected on that, and they should be a piece of gauze cloth or a paper should be wrapped near the region of blade to ensure that there is no falling or dropping of these flakes. And if it is a case of seminal stained garment or a swab, similar is the case of drying under the shade and packing. And hair with root, they need to be air dried again. Tissue, skin, muscle, again they need to be collected in a preservative, especially when the tissue is referred to the DNA profiling, either the normal saline or 20% dimethyl sulfoxide is the normal preservative that is used. And of course bones of femur or humerus need to be collected, and they need to be wrapped in aluminum foil, or the other way of sending it is they can be frozen and sent. The teeth are also packed in dry packets and they need to be sent. And similarly viscera in wide mouthed bottles with the proper preservative need to be sent. And other important precautions that need to be borne in the mind of IO while collecting is avoiding lot of contamination. I mean, that is not touching the areas with bare hands, neither sneezing or coughing over the evidences, they need to be avoided. Then wearing the gloves and handling the evidence is also another important precaution that has to be followed. And paper parcels and avoiding the plastic paper is also one of the important precaution, and avoid high humidity and the factors that degrade the DNA, and they need to be marked as usual. Then immovable surfaces, the process that need to be adopted is swabbing method. And whenever there is a disputed parentage, it's a routine process that instead of collecting the samples and then sending them across, the right way of doing it is asking the subjects in cases or the suspects directly to come to the laboratory where there is all paraphernalia that is at the disposal of the expert, so that samples collected can be preserved for a very long time in a safe manner. So if you follow these guidelines and then collect the procedures, definitely the DNA profiles are going to be very good and they help us in the investigation.